de UNICEF en sala, pero también nos tienen tres representantes que junto con nos via nos sistema digital para que nos haya presentación de el proyecto o el programa de Family Friendly Workplace Program que UNICEF estaba bezig con. Meneer Sanna, kan ik passen de palabra por mij? Aan wie kan ik het woord geven voor de presentatie? Ja?
Do I have to push? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Mevrouw Kroon.
Thank you very much for inviting us here in the Parliament. It's a very important moment for us to be sharing with you the outcomes of the last more than a year of work on the Family Friendly Workplace Initiative. My name is Anna Kroon. I work for UNICEF the Netherlands, and I'm the project manager on Aruba, Curaçao, and Sint Maarten, focusing on child protection and child protection system strengthening. We also have with us our colleagues from Department of Social Affairs, and online the colleagues from UNICEF and Parenting for Lifelong Health. UNICEF colleague is based in Zambia. That's why, unfortunately, she couldn't attend. Itzke van Winden, and the PLH colleagues are based in Washington and Mexico. And they'll be also sharing part of the presentation with you. Should I start with the presentation and then we'll jump into the colleagues? Yeah? Okay. I'd like to start with the fact that UNICEF started working with Aruba on child protection system strengthening in 2018. That's when the government of Aruba came to The Hague, and also they went to UNICEF in New York to request UNICEF for support on child protection system strengthening, and they had a particular interest in setting up the Código de Protección. Since 2018, we have... Since 2018, we have been working on the Código de Protección, and there we have worked on law, policy, capacity building. A law was approved by the Parliament. Many professionals have been trained in how to recognize signs of child abuse and what steps they should take. And also a lot of partnership has been created working with different organizations in Aruba, and also bringing in expertise from abroad, for example from Augeo Foundation, and also from in Dutch, the Landelijke Vakgroep Aandachtsfunctionarissen Kindermishandeling. I would like to start with that because that brought us to the moment in which 2022 we were approached by the government again, and they informed us that there was also an interest to work on parenting. So not only on detection of child abuse, but on actually more prevention of child abuse. So I'll hand the floor to Sasha Geerman from the Department of Social Affairs, and she can share the part of what we have been doing since 2022 together with the Department of Social Affairs and the Parenting Committee on parenting.
With the permission of my colleagues from UNICEF and Parenting for Lifelong Health, I would address the Parliament members in our native language, Papiamento. É prazer para nós para para compartilhar o último projeto que nós abinta trabalhar junto com UNICEF e PLH. For the Comissão Visão Pedagógico, nós abinta trabalhar sustento maior desde 2014. Nós fazemos diferente outro trabalho que não vai em detalhe agora que não, pero sim me quero poner ênfase riba lo que nós logra desde 2022 com não sostém. Nós a desenvolver uma maneira de trabalho mais organizar e coordenar de documento para formalizar como nós está funcionar e assim ele eigenlijk de qualidade mais alta. nós também desarrollar visão. So, prometo que nós estamos tendo visão com palanta muito na Aruba. E aí nós promover seguro, bom de setor de organização que está trabalhando conosco. Nós temos 30 organizações partner do veld, setor de justiça social, de salubridade, ensinança. Pois nós pensamos que a visão está uma visão carregada, não é traduzida no departamento, organização, não. Portanto, ajuda nós a traduzir a mensagem na maior, não. E se nós fazemos desde 2017, pero entrante 2022, que sostém particularmente de ITSCA, nós a desenvolver uma visão com nós queremos sostém na maior na Aruba. Como organização, nós podemos ser buraco e brindar a maior na lo que não tem mester. E esse a desenvolver somente documento, uma visão, também de conhecer e sostém de 30 organizações aqui. E me demais para bisa que o processo estava processo participativo. Então, nós não fazemos só, mas junto com os partners. Nós trabalhamos social card de tour sostém que tem para maior, de tour diferente categoria, categoria de idade, forma. Também para ajuda e profissional, onda por busca que ajuda para maior. So, nós pensamos, nós estamos isla chiquito e nós sabemos que o turno está assim. Em realidade, o dia está que todos não está assim. Nós conhecemos o colega, mas nós não sabemos exatamente o que está assim. Então, esse é outro produto que nós trabalhamos sostém, em particular aqui no caso que também de ITSCA. E esse arriba nós na seguinte projeto que nós também para pedir. Passou dentro da trajetória, dentro da área que nós trabalhamos com maior, mensagem nos capta. For de organização, nós temos que dar sostém. E nós trabalhamos nessa. Pero a mensagem de maior está com reto hobby grande para balançar a vida profissional, a vida de trabalho e na responsabilidade como maior. E não tem algum aspecto que nos por ajuda a família na Aruba, se como organização dentro do sector, também podemos holder e nos carga junto a responsabilidades para nos sostener o lançamento de muita e o bem-estar de nossa família em geral. E esse é a nós na WAC, o projeto aqui que nós estamos apresentar, Family Friendly Workplaces Certification, que está, nos visa em corto, e esse aqui também é mais extenso dentro programa de certificação que a organização, qualquer será e índole e qualquer sector e qualquer tamanho de companhia, por aplicar para certificar que não está uma companhia que está family friendly. Nós conhecemos family friendly hotel, que é guest, não por bem com a família, mas aqui tem uma certificação que está bisa minha companhia está family friendly para meu empregado. Então, esse lo por estimular para a companhia não tá hobby mais inclinar para dar sustento a seu trabalhador. I would like to give the floor to Itzka to continue the next slides.
Kan ik nu gaan praten? Ik hoop dat jullie mij kunnen verstaan. Ik geloof dat ik nu op slide 2 zit. Ik ga nu door. Ik kan jullie niet, ik kan geen feedback ontvangen namelijk. Maar ik ga ervan uit dat er net een presentatie is gedaan over de belangrijke milestones die behaald zijn in het traject opvoedingsondersteuning. En wat ik daar nog aan toe zou willen voegen, is dat deze milestones een belangrijke foundation. Let me actually switch to English because we also have some English colleagues on this call. We will introduce them later on when they will take over the presentation. But just wanted to add to what my colleagues from the Directorate for the Social Affairs Directorate have just presented, is that these important milestones that have been achieved in the area of parenting support in Aruba have really laid a strong foundation to make sure that parents and caregivers receive the support they need when and where they need it. And throughout this process, we have spoken to many parents, we've consulted with parents, with frontline workers, with policymakers, with employers, and also with a few members of the parliament who are also present here today. And we kept on hearing the same key message over and over again. Balancing work and family life remains a major challenge for many families in Aruba. And that can be summarized in, as we would put it in Dutch, in a reality that says, werken alsof je geen kinderen hebt en zorgen alsof je geen werk hebt. En met zorgen bedoelen we niet alleen mantelzorg, en niet alleen zorgen naar kinderen toe, maar ook mantelzorg naar bijvoorbeeld ouders of andere familieleden. Dat is een realiteit waar we eigenlijk van af willen. And that's why, and let me switch back to English again, and that's why creating more family-friendly workplaces matters so much, because the international evidence is very clear. When parents are supported in a workplace, everyone benefits. And everyone benefits. I'm hearing another sound coming through, but I'm just going to carry on. Everyone benefits because when parents are supported in the workplace, parents are less stressed and they're more present at home. And that benefits children and adolescents directly because that benefits their growth, their general development, their well-being. And this is not only good for families, it's also very good for businesses. Countries that have implemented family-friendly workplace initiatives have recorded an increase in staff retention. They've recorded also an increase in productivity and an increase in improved staff morale. And in the bigger picture, it also strengthens gender equality and it's good for the economy as well. It makes the economy stronger and more resilient. So it makes a very smart investment. And this can contribute directly to Aruba's national priorities and to achieving the sustainable development goals. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Anna Pro, who is based out of Mexico and joining us today together with her colleague, Jenny Dowd, who's based in Canada. So it's an international team. I'm personally based in Zambia. Anna represents the Parenting for Lifelong Health organization. That's our technical partner who's been supporting us in designing this initiative and in supporting the Aruba team in developing the initiative. And Anna's going to tell us a little bit more about our organization, about the progress that's been made so far, the key steps along the way, and the planned next steps. So I'm going to hand it over to Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Could you hear me? Like I'm ready to go?
Anna, you will have your slide. It's the slide that's in front of, that should be showing on the screen in the room, is the PLH slide explaining, sharing a bit of information about the organization. So that's where you can start.
Thank you, Itzke. First of all, it is an honor to be here today with such a distinguished audience. I would like to thank the Department of Social Affairs and UNICEF the Netherlands for inviting us to participate and share this space with all of you today. I'm Anna Brod, Regional Manager at Parenting for Lifelong Health, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Jenny Dowd, our Scaling and Research Specialist. I would like to begin by sharing a bit about the journey of our initiative, which began in 2011 through a global partnership with UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and the University of Oxford, among other relevant institutions. Our mission has always been clear: to develop, test, and make available effective programs that prevent violence against children and adolescents while supporting families to thrive and live in well-being. Over the years, we have conducted 20 clinical trials and make available effective programs that prevent violence against children and adolescents while supporting families to thrive and live in well-being. Over the years, we have conducted trials in South Africa, Philippines, Mexico, China, Malaysia, El Salvador, among others. These trials have been instrumental in refining our approaches and ensuring that our programs are both effective, evidence-based, scalable, and culturally relevant. Today, we are proud to be part of the development of the Family-Friendly Workplace Certification, which seeks to ensure that workplace cultures evolve into a more empathetic and sustainable environments that can benefit both families and organizations here in Aruba. I want to talk you a little bit about this year and the progress we have made so far. So this year we have been working to lay the foundations for the Family-Friendly Workplace Certification through a situation and analysis and the definition of its criteria, which included a data collection process to inform the design of the certification framework. This work has been carried out in close collaborations with the Parliament, the Department of Social Affairs, the Ministry of Labor, the private sector, unions, and NGOs. Our main goal has been to build a platform that hosts the certification in a friendly, simple, and inclusive way, ensuring it's accessible, fair, and relevant to organizations of all sizes and structures in Aruba. We are currently developing the materials and creating the digital platform with the aim of concluding this first stage in January through testing with a group of volunteer organizations. This testing will allow us to review technical aspects and user experience, as well as to invite selected companies to participate in a broader pilot that we are planning for the 2026. So right now, as you can see, we are in the middle of the pathway. Here. The situation analysis that we are going to present today use a mixed methods approach that combines legal review, stakeholder engagement, and survey data to inform the design of the Aruba Family-Friendly Workplace Certification. The three main data sources include landscape and legal review. We work with the Department of Labor and the Department of Social Affairs to run an analysis of Aruba Civil Code to review what are the existing workplace policies alongside local and international benchmarks that we can use as references. Also, we applied a family-friendly workplace surveys that took place from May to June this year. And we have two national pulse surveys, one with working caregivers and parents, that we have a participation of 167 working parents and 49 employers. So we run this for employees and for employers. It was a very good participation, and we got really good outputs from them. And we also conducted 3 co-design workshops in April this year. So we have 3 collaborative sessions with over 90 stakeholders, including unions, NGOs, ministries, and private sector representatives. So all this data collection and different co-design workshops and surveys came alive to give us all the information that is now placed in the situation analysis report that I will give you like a little bit of more information. Okay. What do we know so far? So Aruba already has a legal foundation that supports working families. You have 12 weeks of paid maternity leave, 2 days of paternity leave, paid lactation breaks, the request to have a dedicated breastfeeding rooms. There's also equal protection for part-time and fixed-team workers, and a comprehensive health insurance that covers 100% of maternity and 80% of illness costs. We know that you already have all this in place. So while the foundation is strong, our discussions through these co-design workshops and the surveys reveal opportunities to continue improving how these policies work in everyday settings. For example, paternity leave is still quite limited, which makes it hard to normalize shared caregiving. Work flexibility often depends on managers' goodwill rather than being a consistent practice. Also, we discovered that access to childcare remains low, and many families still face cultural or financial barriers. And while there are breastfeeding policies in place, in reality, there are few facilities and little staff training to make them work effectively. We also notice that implementation tends to be stronger in the public sector than in smaller, medium private companies, and that's an opportunity. Because what we see here isn't a lack of commitment from the employees, it's a chance to translate the strong laws into everyday actions that truly make family-friendly workplace a reality. Insights from the working caregivers in Aruba. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit of what we found in the surveys. So we also look at the experiences of working parents and caregivers through our national survey, and few key themes clearly emerge. The main challenges families reported were mental health and emotional stress, mentioned by about half of the respondents, followed by financial strain related to childcare and family expenses, and limited access to remote or flexible work options. In fact, 27% shared that they don't receive any family-friendly benefits at all. At the same time, there's a very strong demand for support, as you can see. Almost all caregivers, 80%, 88%, said that they would use a childcare allowance if they would have the benefit, and 95% would participate in parenting or well-being workshops if offered. We also identified groups that deserve like a special focus, such as single parents, parents of children with disabilities, etc. These insights give us a clear direction. Families in Aruba are ready and eager for change, and workplace have a powerful opportunity to respond to this. From the responses from the employers, we also heard from employers across Aruba that there's a strong interest in becoming family friendly. In fact, 94% of employers said that they would like to be formally recognized as a family friendly organization. Many are already taking like small but meaningful steps, offering flexibility or well-being initiatives, even if they're still in the first levels of these implementations. At the same time, many businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, share that they need support to take the next steps. They want to do it, but they need guidance. So this is an opportunity to bring this guidance to them. They are looking for practical tools, opportunities to learn from peers, and small-scale initiatives that make it easier to put family-friendly practices in place. This shows that the willingness is there. What's needed now is the right support to help employers turn commitment into action. And they are also prioritizing the flexible work arrangements, paid family leave, well-being programs, and manager support. In this slide, I just want to show you like a little bit of the global evidence. This program has a really strong evidence that is backing it up. So this, some of these examples are findings from UNICEF research and insights from the Abu Dhabi Early Childhood Authority. The UAE, it's a program that also is supporting the inception of the Aruba Family Friendly Workplace Certification. So it's important to mention that the evidence that we have built is around the whole world, and UAE also has been like an important consultant through all this information. And all this evidence shows that the family-friendly workplaces truly work. Flexible work policies helps retain talent and boost profits. Paid leave and childcare reduce turnover and hiring costs in companies. Well-being initiatives increase satisfaction, where a high percentage of employees would recommend the workplace. Parental leave strengthens families and promotes gender balance. And family-friendly policies in general reduce stress, improve health, and build social cohesion. One of the clearest messages from this process is that Aruba is ready for change. More than 90 stakeholders from government, unions, NGOs, and private sector came together and supported the way forward for the certification and have been continued supporting through all the building of the criteria and the different materials. They share common priorities: extending paternity leave, promoting flexibility at work, improving childcare access, and supporting mental health well-being. There was also broad agreement that small and medium-sized enterprises need practical tools and incentives to make family-friendly practices part of everyday working life. The result is a real sense of national ownership and momentum that we really want to take advantage of it. Aruba is ready to lead the way as a pioneer in this area. The Aruba Family Friendly Workplace Certification, now like getting into the certification that we are building, is a national initiative that recognizes employers who help parents balance work and family life. It's open to all sectors and company size, making it truly inclusive. We know that that's important. We know that 80% of the companies in Aruba are small, medium enterprise. So we are taking all these approaches into the certification. The certification is designed to be accessible, relevant, and is reflecting Aruba's business landscape. It focuses on 7 key areas: leadership and culture, work-life flexibility, family well-being, parental leave, breastfeeding support, childcare, and community engagement. The process is looking to follow a clear and transparent cycle. Employers apply once a year, receive a certification valid for 2 years, and renew it based on progress and continued compliance with the criteria. The certification will be granted by the Department of Social Affairs or a designated national body, ensuring national oversight and credibility. For Aruba, like for all the work that we have been doing, this initiative represents a collective step forward, recognizing the employers who are already leading by example and inspiring others to create workplaces where families can truly thrive. And just to end, here's like a little bit of the how is what we are doing for the future of the family-friendly workplace program. So right now we are in a building stage. We are defining all these criteria, building the tools, the materials, creating the platform for companies to apply next year, and refining all the materials based on feedback. So we are working on this. On 2026, we have a pilot stage that we want to run with a specific number of volunteers, companies that can volunteer to be in the pilot from different sizes and also different sectors, so we can run the whole process and gather like different feedback again and refine content, refine processes, and make it even more accessible and easier to be part of the community. On 27 and 2028, we are aiming to scale. So now that the program has been tested, piloted, and refined, we are ready to scale nationally. And we would need the support of all the different government agencies, private sector, and NGOs that are supporting us since the beginning. And then like we are looking for a sustainability of the certification, no? To integrate new policies, maybe new criteria that can push forward the improvements on and support with families, and also run some evaluations so we can keep going the different evidence that we are trying to track along all the process, no, to measure the impact that we are having with these families. So with this said, this is a little bit of the work that we have been doing, so you can know the situation analysis outcomes. We are very proud on all the progress that we have done. I'm very proud of the collaborative team from all the Aruba organizations that have supported this work so far. So thank you so much for the space, and it's over to you, Itzke, please. You are on mute, Itzke. You are on mute, Itzke. We cannot hear you.
Ietske, de microfoon aanzetten.
Artista tecnológico.
No. Oh jee.
PlayStation ka.
Ja, hoop dat jullie me nu kunnen verstaan. I hope everyone can hear me in the room. I was on mute, and I hope it's going well. We've had some difficulties with technology, I think, today, but we're getting there. Thank you so much, Anna, for your presentation. What I wanted to say is, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of parliament, your leadership can really make a difference in making Aruba a pioneer in the region in family-friendly innovation. Today, we would like to kindly ask you to support the Family-Friendly Workplace Program as a national priority, as a concrete step towards stronger families, towards a thriving workforce, and towards a stronger Aruba in general. We would also hope that you will encourage the integration of family-friendly principles and standards into legal and policy frameworks pertaining to labor and social development, so that the progress we make today, that we're making now, gets integrated into a system that will benefit Aruba in the years to come. And we would also finally like to invite you to champion sustainable funding so that we can start piloting the program from next year onwards, followed by scale up in the following years. So with that, I'm going to hand it over back to my UNICEF colleague, Anna Krol, who is with you in the room to offer some closing reflections. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues of Parenting for Lifelong Health, Jenny and Anna, for the presentation. All the parliamentarians have also now received the presentation in their email account, so they are following on their computer the presentation. And thank you, Itzke, for also doing the introduction of how we have been working, how we came to the Family-Friendly Workplace Initiative, and the importance of the Parliament on the involvement for pushing this initiative further is very important. Yesterday we have also had a meeting with the Minister of Social Affairs and Health, and also from Labour and Tourism, where we also informed them about this report, about the outcomes, and they are very enthusiastic about this initiative. Last month, when we were in The Hague, you also requested us for the budget. You said, how much does this cost? So I'm presenting now the cost that we have based on the past and looking forward what will be happening in 2026. And we came to for if we only look at follow-up on the parenting family-friendly workplace initiative, the pilot phase, it's around 195,000 euros, including all the support from UNICEF, the expertise that we're bringing from Parenting for Lifelong Health to support this initiative and to bring it forward. Last time we also explained more about the Código de Protección, which you also informed is since 2018 already a project that we have been supporting and working on together with you. And therefore I also mentioned the budget that we calculated for 2026, and that is around 140,000 for providing support, technical support with Código de Protección specialists, but also bringing in de landelijke vakgroep aandachtsfunctionarissen, providing trainings, bijscholing to all the supervisores di Código, bringing in Augeo Foundation with their e-learning material. So the package of Código for 2026 would be around 140,000 euro. I just wanted to mention that because that was something that was hanging from the last meeting. As Ietske already mentioned, for us, we think it's a very important initiative, the family-friendly workplace, and it follows really nicely up from the Código on the early detection on child abuse to what has been, where we came to on prevention, working with the parents themselves and providing the parents the support that they need to prevent child abuse, and then going also to the workplaces, so the society, that the society also supports the children, the parents, but also the families. And with your support, we think, and together with the minister's support, this initiative can really be brought forward, and we are very willing to continue supporting, collaborating with Aruba on this initiative. And as you've seen, we always look at the whole world and where to find the best support and bring in the expertise that fits best to what is going on and what the needs are from Aruba. We thank you very much for your time and interest in this important initiative. And as probably I had to leave for some technical issues sometimes, but I'm sure one of them already mentioned that Curaçao is looking at Aruba for this initiative because they are also very interested to perhaps start in 2027 with a family-friendly workplace initiative, and then they look at Aruba like they also have done with the Código. Aruba started with the Código, and then Aruba shared very nicely with Curaçao, and now they are doing Código. So that's also something that we promote, the exchange between the islands. And another initiative that is currently being carried out on Curaçao, where Aruba is looking at, I look at my colleagues, is a digital app on parenting that is being developed for parenting organizations through which they can reach parents via WhatsApp or Signal. So then parents can be easily reached with videos or polls or whatever exercises parents can receive to learn how to better work with it or parent their children. And in that way, they don't have to go to a location where they don't have the time, they don't have the transport cost for it, and they often drop out if there's parenting sessions. If there's 10 parenting sessions, they show up in the first one and the second one perhaps, and then they drop out because of the time and they don't have the energy. And that's why such a digital app, which is currently being developed on Curaçao, but the information is totally being shared with the parenting committee on Aruba and exchanged. So that might be something that Aruba might be looking into for 2027. I also wanted to share that because it's also a nice initiative. We have the report really, it's still warm. It was finalized this morning. I printed it this morning. I came in running. Some of you saw me. I came running with the print. And we're very pleased to share it with you also in hard copy. Thank you very much for your time and interest. And if you have any questions, my colleagues are here. Your specialists from Aruba are here. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I see if anyone has questions. Mr. Chong?
Okay.
Via WhatsApp, we can inform them what is being said, but they cannot hear, so we will translate it if you have questions for them.
Yeah. No, first of all, I would like to thank you for the presentation. As we already discussed in the Netherlands a few weeks ago, you can really count on us for when it comes to supporting this program. I really think it's of added value. And as the presentation says, investing in families is investing in Aruba's future. So you can count on us. I had just one question. You mentioned that you met with both ministers. I was just wondering what their reaction is to because if they do support this, I think in Parliament we can also work on making sure that once we look at the annual budget, that we can allocate the resources needed to execute this program. So I was just wondering what their reaction was, if you could elaborate a bit on that. Thank you.
Who is gonna answer this question? Anna?
Tardi, sì. Dank per la pregunta. Ayer nos estado para dos viajes. Gisteren waren wij voor de tweede keer bij de ministers. Hebben we de sociale analyserapport gepresenteerd. We hebben een paar maanden geleden ook het begin van het project gepresenteerd. En gisteren de resultaten, tot waar wij nu zijn. De reacties zijn tot nu toe positief. We hebben het over het bedrag, min of meer het bedrag. En inderdaad ook alles wat UNICEF ondersteunt. Het is niet alleen dit project, het is inderdaad een groot pakket van ondersteuning die wij ontvangen. En dit is een groot project op zich, maar daarnaast inderdaad zijn er ook een aantal andere dingen die ook erbij komen. De ministers waren onder de indruk van wat UNICEF allemaal doet op het eiland en waren ook mee ingestemd om naast dat dit doorgaat. Het heeft zijn challenges, dat weten we allemaal. We hebben gezien, er is mankrachttekort, er is toch reacties in de samenleving over het introduceren van flexibiliteit en minder uren werken. Maar we zien ook, en hun zien ook gelukkig, dat het belangrijk is voor kinderen. Als we een nieuwe generatie gezonde generatie willen bereiken, dat er ook geïnvesteerd moet worden. En we hebben het bij hun gelaten tot nu toe. En we hopen om op zeer korte termijn, want de UNICEF is tot en met 31 december op het eiland. Daarna hangt af van de reactie die we krijgen of dat doorgaat voor de komende jaren. En we staan met heel veel projecten eigenlijk klaar om door te gaan. Maar de financiële steun, inderdaad, zijn we helemaal afhankelijk van. Ja.
Oké. Dank u wel voor die antwoord. Mevrouw Otami Tomasia.
Hello, buon tardi, Toriende, buon tardi, dank je voor de presentatie. Dat tem parte de apresentação que aval me op para mim sobre nossa na Aruba socialmente hopi coisa vai com maior não e mari para que tata tem parte que avisa que hopi trabalho na werkplekken avisa que não local bijding richting die family friendly work sfeer e me tá contente para atender sei pero também tem realidade que nós tá ganha hopi gente tá queja que ora na meste bike por exemplo que na dokter of hasi certo appointment que eigenlijk não tem recht op que management não tá cooperar para esaki não tá desejar para hasi esaki ora não tá liber of outro item viaja no sabak publicatie asali que hopi gente não anibai na afspraken die specialista dus mita bisa mi mesi esaki ta parte também que não tá bezig tá cooperar com hopi gente ora não ganha afspraak não pode chegar na afspraak para sobre não tá ganha e tempo dus mita tá quer sa que se tem hopi werkplekken a cooperar com a bisa se não tá willing para Kiko está inserar Kiko nang tá willing de adaptar de nang work sphere para hasi esaki possível que o trabalhador tá sentindo mais contento para sobre mim tá sempre tá bisa não tá hora não tá duna com pessoa tá hasi na base para trabalho pero se não tá contento não tá vai produzir hopi mais na trabalho e esse aí tá gewoon proven fact que dos 8 horas vou hasi 1 hora de trabalho e 7 horas vou tá do als off pero se jefe of the manager tá cooperar kubo pota mas cooperar com nang para get the work done dus me tá hopi contento com assim tá com nang com a feedback com nang tá willing para hasi adaptação pero den praktijk quem tá vai work of percurar com eta tomando lugar of se tá vai sinta com empregado não para evaluar com eta vai indo na trabalho para assim não que nós tem hopicos in place pero den realidade nós tá work back dus me tá hopi contento para sobre essa parte hopi importante da comunidade e que me tá contento de lo qual está tomando lugar, pero que nós pode chegar no momento que nós está echt do it. Dus me está muito agradecido para tudo lo qual agora apresentar hoje.
Mas danke para a pergunta, senhora Tomasia. Senhora Bermúdez.
Pergunta e para o feedback, para essa é exatamente o que nós topa. Me quer bisa ku me quer agradecer que tem hotel nang companhia nang kuya ako misa abre nang porta nang kaba pa instância nang social chega na pia de trabalho pone hora disponível para oferecer workshop mas yang mes nos lota na hotel ku a invita e opvoed commissie partij ku nang mesa para dar informação na empregado nang e verdade, no momento que nós fazemos sessions com o empregado, não atopa exatamente o que o ordo bisa. Nós temos lei, nós reparar que tem lei, e nota tur lei, te ordo executar maneco eta. E era também matrese. Ik zal in het Nederlands iets. Ook de borstvoedingswet wordt niet in werking, overal in werking gezet. Dus het lijkt alsof het een beetje verwaterd is. Of de werkgevers weten niet dat het bestaat of hoe het in de praktijk in te zetten. Maar ook inderdaad, met Gele Kruis weten wij dat steeds minder ouders gaan. Heel veel afspraken, psychologische hulp. Ouders kunnen niet gaan naar afspraken. Ze beginnen met 1 sessie en als ze 1, 2 tips hebben gekregen, stoppen ze. Omdat ze niet de tijd en flexibiliteit krijgen van hun werkgever. Daarnaast is ook uit de surveys gekomen dat de werkgever ook aangeeft van ik weet niet hoe. 96% van de organisaties, bedrijven op Aruba zijn kleine bedrijven. Het leek groot. We dachten van wow, er is heel veel organisaties die meer dan 250 personeel hebben, maar het blijkt maar 1% die zo is op Aruba. Dus eigenlijk hebben we te maken met kleine bedrijven waar het personeel niet makkelijk, als eentje weggaat, valt het uit. En de service aan de consument is er dan niet of wordt moeilijk. En vandaar dat het voor hen ook moeilijk is om iemand toestemming te geven om even weg te gaan. Maar we hebben gezien dat het ook consequenties heeft voor kinderen die bijvoorbeeld slecht op school doen. Of moeders die constant gebeld worden van ik kom je kind halen, want we kunnen het kind niet aan. En de moeder dan helemaal in depressie raakt. En ook suicidaal wordt. Dus er is, ik denk, en wij geloven, dat we beide kanten moeten ondersteunen. Er zijn werkvormen ingezet waarbij wij zowel de personeel gaan, hoe noemen we dat? Bij het begin, er is een cyclus waar we volgend jaar een pilot willen doen, waar 10 à 15 organisaties mee zullen doen om te kijken hoe dat gaat. Er zal een raam zijn, een maand zijn waar de organisaties kunnen aanmelden. Daarnaast wordt er een nulmeting gedaan bij de organisatie. Hoe voelen het personeel zich werkende bij dat organisatie? Hoe voelt de werkgever met het toepassen van al deze punten bij zijn organisatie? En er is verschillende criteria's waar eigenlijk op getoetst zal worden. Maar tegelijkertijd zullen wij de kennis en de tools overdragen aan de werkgevers. Want we gaan niet vanuit van die weet alles. We gaan ook de workshops, een lijst met workshops aanbieden. We gaan een handboek aanbieden van dit zijn de wetten. We gaan een handboek aanbieden van hoe kan je de cultuur creëren, gesprekken voeren. Dus het is een groter pakket. En we hopen dat er daarna niet gezegd wordt van ik weet het niet. Maar van beide kanten dat ze dan bereid zijn om te kiezen. Want een werknemer is niet alleen werknemer. Het is ook een ouder en die heeft ook een thuissituatie. En daar moet ook het oog voor hebben.
Masha, dank je.
Senhora Linda.
Vontade, Masha. Is de situationele analyse rapport zelf al gepubliceerd?
Vers van de pers.
Ja, dus het is nog niet online dus dan? Oké, nee, ik zat het te zoeken. Oké, dankjewel.
Mezzanine Weber.
Ja, goedemiddag. Bedankt voor de presentatie. Ik stel het heel erg op prijs. We zien toch wel, als we om kinderen praten, is het superbelangrijk dat zij worden echt beschermd. En dat ze de kans krijgen om zich als gezond, mentaal gezonde kinderen en om tot welwaardige burgers te ontplooien. En dat is belangrijk en dat begint ook bij hun thuis. Hè? En de relatie met de ouders, de relatie of de werksituatie van de ouders is superbelangrijk in die zin. Wat mij wel opvalt en wat merkwaardig is hoe werkgevers nu toch wel zo positief blijkt te zijn over dit project. Gezien een aantal weken geleden, toen in dezezelfde zaal een motie werd aangenomen om voor verkorte werkdagen, of korte werkweek. En we hebben toch wel heel veel kritiek daarover gekregen. En dus het verbaast me dat de werkgevers toch wel openstaan hiervoor. En dus wat kunt u daarover zeggen? Ik bedoel, welke werkgeversorganisaties toch wel daarvoor openstaan? En wat waren hun kritiek, hun punten van hun knelpunten? En zoals u ook zei, het gaat meestal over kleine bedrijven die echt een klein aantal werknemers hebben die eigenlijk moeilijk eentje kan missen. En dus wat is de oplossing voor zo'n situatie? En hoe kunnen wij dat ook verder verkopen? Dat als je een family-friendly bedrijf bent, dat je dan ook dat je bedrijf niet achtergaat. Dat je je service, je diensten kan blijven geven aan je klanten. En nog een andere vraag is over de kosten van dit project. Het staat €195.000 plus die 140.000. Voor mij is het niet duidelijk waarvoor die 195 is. Het werd gezegd voor ondersteuning, maar wat houdt die ondersteuning in? En als u dat kan even voor me uitwerken. En als laatste, er is toch wel over die survey die werd gedaan, gaat het alleen maar over bepaalde sectors en bepaalde, income levels die werden eigenlijk gepold, of gaat het ook van hoog tot laag? Dat zijn mijn vragen, dank u.
Bedankt voor de vragen. I will answer the first question, and maybe Anna or Itzke can add to my answer regarding the, I would say, mixed message from the organizations and companies, saying at one hand they are against reducing the work day, the work week from 5 to 4 days because they don't have sufficient personnel. We have a service-driven economy and so forth. And on the other hand, in the survey, expressing their support for this initiative. We have extensively compared, for example, international criteria for such a label trajectory. And we acknowledge in our last sessions, I think 2 weeks ago, with Ana Pro from Mexico, she was here, and we did an extensive work in revisiting every criteria, and we realized that we have to scale to our context. So, for example, maybe many companies cannot comply as yet, reducing from 5 to 4 work week, but they can be flexible in other ways. And it starts with exactly what we mentioned previously, the attitude from leadership. If you're open to hear the situation and be empathetic to their situation, acknowledging that a doctor visit is important, talking to the teacher is important sometimes, and mothers and fathers sometimes have to be physically present. They might get back from the same employee that extra time. So it's not really sometimes about time, but about being flexible, about being empathetic and realizing they must step out now. And most likely, if employees feel understood, they will give back, even in time. So we know that it's not a one-size-fits-all. So it's not in having criteria, one criteria that, for example, reducing the workday, but in being really flexible. For example, and I will be very specific, having policy in place, and policy is a big word, but having this rule in place for also for small companies, that they can approach and ask. So if it's written somewhere, if you need to visit the doctor for your child, you can approach and submit a petition. And this is it seems like too structured, but approaching and submitting a petition can also be asking your boss to leave for the. If they know they can do that, that's already being family friendly. So it's not really having one rule, for example, reducing the work week. That's answering your first question. For the second question, I will pass the mic to Anna, although I must say we have been receiving support from UNICEF even before 2022 and since 2017, was it, or 18? But in these last years, from 2022, in our experience, we have had this international experience tailor-made to our environment and local situation, not only for those working close to the experts, but also engaging other stakeholders in Aruba, other organizations. And we have been having sessions, we have been exposed to training, we have been exposed to best practices, international best practices, evidence-based best practices. So for not only personally, but for the entire sector, it has been een deskundigheidsbevordering for the sector and how we see and treat our children and what we gain in knowledge regarding support from workplaces. So in short, this is our experience, but regarding to the budget, I pass the word to Anna.
Thank you. Indeed, it's a package. And what UNICEF does is listen to what is needed and based on that try to see what fits best as a response. And that can be sometimes bringing in an expert on parenting, and it can be thinking along with making policies. It can be bringing in a legal expert who can support drafting laws that can be shared and then improved or together with the people on the legal experts on Aruba. It can be, it's part of training. So for example, we have been working together with Parenting for Lifelong Health and ITSCE and the whole parenting committee from step A of drafting the work plan for this family-friendly workplace initiative. So we draft the work plan together, we draft together who should be participating. It's actually, we do it together. So it's not like a specific thing that you hire a consultant and the consultant will do something and here you have the product. But it's really embracing. So yeah, so we can work on legal aspects, we can support on policy development, we can support on capacity building, the making use of, for example, the surveys, the tools that PLH has. We bring in international experience. I'm trying to explain a bit what we saw, for example, at a certain moment there was the interest of what is being done by the parenting committee in Jamaica. So we established contact with the parenting committee in Jamaica to also see what is being done in the region. What we support with training, developing materials that then are shared with the parenting committee who will review and then the changes are made. So it's a whole process and actually, yeah, it's the difference. I'm not sure, ITSCE, if you can hear me, if you would like to complement something on what it entails. So it entails, if you look at the budget, it entails of expertise, bringing in expertise, experts. It contains of organizing training. It brings Parenting for Lifelong Health, who will develop the training package. looking at UAE, the United Arab Emirates, bringing in the expertise from there and asking them to share their experiences. So it can also be visits to Aruba. So yeah, that is what we have been doing over the last couple of years. Does that kind of answer your question, or yeah? And on the Código, just one more thing. On the Código, for example, it's bringing in a Código de Protección expert who looks in the same way as we look at the family-friendly workplace. What is needed to develop the Código further? Sometimes a legal expert, sometimes a policy maker, or bringing in the LFAC to give the training and the bijscholingen for the supervisores di Código. Actually, it's tailor-made what we try to do, and agile to see what is needed at that moment, instead of having one fixed thing that we deliver, and then, yeah.
If I may, I just want to emphasize that when she says bringing in expert, it is capital letters experts. So ITSCA, the knowledge and experience that ITSCA bring to the table in terms of parental support, it's just the next level for our island and our professionals. So she has supported us in expanding our professionalization and of all our local experts on this team. And in this particular project in Abu Dhabi, they have a family-friendly workplace certification, and UNICEF brought in the lady, Fatma, who is the project leader that took the initiative and designed and set that up. So they hire and bring in the best practices from anywhere, but to custom and tailor-made it for our context.
Yeah. If I can just add to that, what we also try to do is that we, as quick as possible, leave all the knowledge and capacity here, so that it's not something that we have to follow up and UNICEF has to continue doing. So if we train something, we try to also train trainers, Aruban trainers, so they can then give the training next time. So you don't need to bring in the expert all the time. Only sometimes when it's needed, you bring an expert specifically on something, and then you train the trainers on that topic. So that's also our approach.
Yes, thank you for that answer. I was still pending that one about the income range that was included in the project, and also to ask further on your last comment. So does that mean that this budget is a one-time thing just for 2026, or will it be repeated with other numbers in consequent years?
Shall I? Yeah, this is for 2026, and then based upon the need and the wishes, it would be then for 2027, whatever would be needed, we would look into that. Yeah.
Thank you for the answer. Mr. Peterson? Peters, sorry.
Thank you, signora Presidente. Peters, signor Presidente.
Na quando está?
Oh, sorry.
The next question, please.
Over de vraag over de inkomen. Het is bedoeld voor iedereen. We hebben het gewoon, het is een nationaal project en het is bedoeld voor iedereen van een organisatie. Dus het is er zit geen verschil in inkomen. Ja.
Sorry. Dank u, senhor presidente. Essa aqui é uma pergunta mais para o Departamento de Assuntos Não Social Baso mi collega punta toccante di seta annual, eccetera, no? Nos na Aruba nos tocou um projeto, no? Então o viaja o projeto tem característica que tem um começo e um fim. Para o Departamento de Assunto Social, com Bolsonaro mira para incluir não somente esse aqui, o projeto aqui, mas todo outro projeto não também, de manejo fijo, estável, que tem presupuesto para que o cambio de lei me se toma lugar. Então, com Bolsonaro está aqui, que eu trabalho em caso que o projeto aqui, como para de maneira duradoura, de manejo do país Aruba. Danke, senhor presidente.
If I may, from the Department of Social Affairs, one of the tasks that we as policy advisors happens to be that we are working at the same department, but one of the tasks at hand now is for us to write a policy for the upcoming years. We have a deadline for next year, June. We have already started drafting the direction in which we would like to go and indeed include these initiatives. And with the policy, also have the financial support to implement the policy. Because one thing is indeed writing the policy, and the other thing is having the financial budget to implement this. So it's in the making, and the idea is to include this in other aspects, not only this one, other aspects. Vulnerable groups that have our attention will be also included in the policy. Writing the policy, we are now drafting the trajectory. Since we would like to have a participatory trajectory with the different sections of our department, because we have the welfare department, and so forth. If I may, I would like to share one important piece of information. We have been putting in the efforts to come with an advisory committee from and with people that are not from the sector that we usually work with, the social sector, health and so forth. So we have now at the table the AHATA, the ATIA, the AHRA, the Human Resource Association, the Department of Labor, FTA as a union, although we have consulted more unions in April when we had the 3-day co-design workshops led by PLH. So we are trying to have, and we have drafted a ministerial ministerial decree to propose that this committee would officially be installed to give advice specifically on this certification. If you hear closely who is on this committee, those are the most critical stakeholders in our society. And I would share with you, the particular morning we had a session on this certification with those stakeholders, and that same day in the evening, I hear 2 of the members expressing their critique on the introduction of reducing the work day week. So they are at our table with us in the discussion. So we really want to hear from them, from their experience, what is feasible, what is realistic for Aruba. And they are at the table, and they are stating that they find and will support this, but we have to meet also the organization where they are at in terms of size, in terms of needs and capability.
Ik wil nog toevoegen, meneer Pieters, over de wetten. Sorry, ik moet even switchen. over de wetten. Zoals jullie zien hebben wij de zwangerschapsverlof voor vrouwen op 12 weken. En we hebben een vaderschapsverlof van 2 dagen. Ja, daar hebben wij als sociale sector heel veel moeite mee. We hebben dit ook naar voren gebracht. En wij weten dat in het verleden dit ooit naar voren is gekomen met een advies van de SER om dit tot 5 dagen. Wij willen 5 of meer. Wij geven een groot applaus aan het ziekenhuis die heeft gekozen voor 10 dagen. En dat is een best practice en een groot applaus van onze kant. Maar wij zijn voorstander dat dit ook het liefst voor andere organisaties ook. En wij hopen dat als parlement dat dit in de toekomst weer opgepakt kan worden. En graag voor dit vechten om het te realiseren. Ja.
Masha, dank je. Bedankt voor die antwoorden. Shalini Trompli heeft nog een vraag.
Bedankt, voorzitter. Ten eerste wil ik voor de presentatie bedanken. We waren een beetje afwachtend op het resultaat. We hadden in Nederland over family-friendly work places hebben we het over gehad. Ik ben blij om te horen dat beide ministers de initiatief hiervan dan dragen. We hebben nu een budget aan de eerste fase of de pilotfase. Hebben we nu een bedrag, kunnen we tijdens de begrotingbehandeling kijken of dat daarin past. Of dat er speciale aandacht daarvoor aan de beide ministers gevraagd moet worden. Maar ik wil een beetje aansluiten op de vraag of op de opmerking van mevrouw Bermudez over vaderschapverlof. Want in haar verhaal, ze vraagt van geef aandacht aan die punt. Maar er wordt niet echt duidelijk aanbevolen in welke richting die uitbreiding qua aantal dagen moet gaan. Zodat we kunnen praten over gedeelde zorgverantwoordelijkheid. Wat denkt de sociale zaken of wat zegt de gemiddeld, de landen waarin dit meer dan 2 of 5 dagen is, wat is de gemiddelde? Wanneer gaan we praten van dat er duidelijk een gedeelde zorgverantwoordelijkheid wordt gedragen met die aantal dagen voor een vader? Denken we ook aan de situatie, of lokale situatie hier, dat nu kinderen geboren worden en meestal is het geen getrouwde stel. Hoe denken we in die richting om meer aansluiting te creëren met de werkelijke situatie op het eiland? Dus mijn vraag specifiek is van hoeveel dagen is een goede stap voor Aruba? Dat ook gedragen zou worden door de werkgever. We moeten denken, het moet betaald worden. Door wie wordt het betaald? Dus als meer aanbeveling daarover gegeven kan worden. Over diezelfde slide waar jullie het hebben over what do we know so far, wordt ook gepraat over inconsistent flexibility. En Sasha had ook over het feit van er zijn werkgevers die het goed geregeld hebben. Er bestaan misschien handboeken, werknemers weten hoe ze voor iets moeten vragen. Ik moet naar de dokter, ik moet naar de school, maar voor anderen niet. En hoe kunnen we die inconsistentie aanpakken? Hoe kunnen we hoe kunnen we zorg dragen dat een gestandaardiseerde beleid komt? Ik weet niet of het per se in de wet moet, maar dat er tenminste een handleiding gecreëerd wordt voor werkgevers, dat ze weten van dit kun je zo en zo regelen. En dat werknemers weten, dit is het proces dat jullie moeten doorlopen als jullie dit en dit moeten gaan doen, familiegerelateerd. Want ik denk dat dat een probleem is op het eiland. Het is een beetje van de manager die beslist. De leidinggevende die beslist. En het is niet gestandaardiseerd dat iedereen weet, ik heb daar recht op. En hoe kunnen we een richting of beginnen om dat te kristalliseren? Want ik denk dat dat nodig is op het eiland. En de laatste vraag die ik heb, en dat is de pilotfase. Jullie hebben aangegeven dat er met 10 à 15 werkgevers gewerkt gaat worden. Hoe gaat de keuze worden gemaakt? De coördinatie ligt in handen van de UNICEF of bij jullie, of is het gedeelde coördinatie? En stel de budget wordt gealloceerd. Wanneer zijn jullie van plan om te beginnen? En hoe lang zal de pilotfase duren? Dank je wel, voorzitter.
Aan wie kan ik het woord geven?
Over de parental leave for fathers. We would like to acknowledge the advice of SAR in starting with 5 days. We know it's not easy for the companies. We know that change is something that has to be phased out, and going from 2 to 12 weeks would be too much to handle for many companies. But the SAR, for example, advised 5 days. And as a committee, we would like to, as Yvonne correctly stated, we support and we say 5 or more. Indeed, just increasing gives already the message that it's important as a country, as an island, we want for fathers to be more involved at the start of the life of the children, and by increasing the days gives that message. In terms of what is best for shared responsibility, I would like to see Ietske as an expert on parenting and parenting supports. If she can hear me, because she's on the phone, she hears me from, or Parenting for Lifelong Health, on what is advisable in terms of increasing those days. I know from Anna, we were debating 2 weeks ago in increasing. She says we have to have a clear message, not 2 days, not 3 days. It has to be clear message. It is important for fathers to be there. So I would like to give the floor to also our experts, Ietske or Anna, on this subject.
Thank you very much for that question. I hope you can hear me. I'm gonna try and address the question, and then Anna and Jenny, feel free to step in at any time. It's an excellent question, and we've had a number of discussions around this. It started when we first came with the team to Aruba for the co-design workshops. This was a recurrent topic in the co-design workshops that gathered representatives from trade unions, from employers, from civil society organizations, and of course also the government. And I think there was a general consensus in the room that an increase in number of days was required. And there was also consensus that jumping from 2 days to, for example, 2 weeks or 1 month would be quite a big leap. So we ended that discussion with the conclusion that probably a phased approach would be the most suitable step to take for Aruba. So incremental steps, moving from 2 days, perhaps first instance to 5 days, and increasing that along the way. I see Jenny nodding. They were in the room as well. They participated in the co-design workshops. They actually facilitated the workshop. So maybe you'd like to step in and add something to that. But that would be my first reaction. But thanks for raising the question, and I'm happy we're bringing it up again. And it's again a hot topic. It seems like, also on this issue, Aruba is ready for change. Jenny, Anna, would you like to complement this?
Sure. Jenny, please compliment me if I'm missing something. But also, like it is important to say this this as the first stage of the certification. So like this is the first time that companies, employees are, you know, getting close to this kind of policies, good practices, and we are pushing this change, you know, in the environment and in the um, education that employees and employers have already about family-friendly policies. So this is just like, we want to say this, like it's just the first step on the line. So jumping from 2 to 5 is not the end. It's just the first step. And also we are being really clear that that's the minimum that companies needs to push forward. But that's a minimum. They are not like limited to put more days, have like improved benefits, have better policies for the employees. So this is just like a kickoff and a start point for all the companies to be aligned in this family-friendly environment that we want to create in Aruba. But like the purpose is that this continue growing through the time. We will keep learning about these implementations with the companies, with the employees, and the purpose is that through these learnings, through the years, we can keep implementing new strategies to get in other, like to get new criteria, to get new policies, to get to new practices that can keep improving the situation with the families, and also keep bringing, because it's also really important to mention, this not brings just benefits or improvements to the families, it's also impact in the company's behaviors. It impact in their productivity, it impact in their retention, it impact in their competition with other companies. So it is a win-win for both sides. So we will keep learning and we will keep like refining these policies, practices, and criteria so companies can go further. You know, so I just want to mention that, and also that it's a lot of evidence backing up the benefits of improving paternity leave. So we have that, like it increase fathers' active involvement in caregiving, leads improve cognitive and behavioral outcomes in children, fosters a cultural shift toward more balanced gender roles in society, reduce men long-term mortality risk, highlighting lasting psychosocial and health benefits of early caregiving. So it's a lot that is happening there. So I just don't want to take out this data on this.
If I can just add, if I may, hello everybody, to what my colleague Anna said, is just to clarify that through the process we've engaged with, we've looked at what the global best practices are. We've listened to what Aruba wants to prioritize in this domain. And we've also needed to balance that very carefully against what is fiscally and economically possible in this very first stage of implementation. But we have deliberately built in a pilot stage where we will be able to stop and take stock and listen very carefully to what employers are telling us is manageable financially and what is not. So there will be a very important moment in this process to create a feedback loop where we can refine the criteria and refine the certification and evaluation criteria as is needed, depending on what the organizations who pilot this certification program tell us. So as Itzke and Anna have said, from 2 to 5 days is a symbolic and significant shift. It reflects the prioritization that different stakeholders, yourselves in the room included, have told us it's important to prioritize. Whether it's enough or too much sort of remains to be seen once we have a chance to actually implement. Thank you.
If I may just open my microphone, because I believe there was also a question about the piloting stage, which maybe Anna and Jenny could address. And before we get to that, Just to add to what Anna was saying about the whole certification program, certification model, how it's really meant to be as inclusive as possible, so that companies and organizations across sectors, whether it's public or private, can participate, and whether it's a small business or a large hotel. So the criteria have really been crafted in such a way that it is accessible to all these various sizes of enterprises that Aruba has. Although there is, of course, as you know, a focus on small and medium-sized enterprises in the country. So it's meant to be inclusive, and the piloting stage is really meant to test and learn from these criteria. Anna was mentioning that as well, to see what's working in practice, because we want to have a feasible program, obviously, once it's practical and that can be implemented and ultimately scaled up across the island. So perhaps Jenny and Anna, would you like to provide a bit more details about how the piloting stage will unfold, hopefully in 2026?
Sure. So the purpose of the pilot next year is to explore the acceptability of the program through employees and employers, and also like the technical aspect and the process to get certified as a family-friendly workplace. So we are aiming to call for some volunteers, like maybe from 5 to 15 volunteers across different sectors, across different size companies, so we can have diversity. And the process, like the objective is to run the whole certification cycle, during 6 to 8 months with them, so they can go to the platform, learn about the program, live the experience on how the materials support them, how the website is built to guide them through the application, etc. So they would apply, they will submit their information, they would submit different forms that we have for them. Everything also, like, we are trying to keep the process, the application process and the evaluation process simple. Right now we are working on that, on those tools, but we want to make it as simpler as possible. Jenny will compliment me later, but that's the purpose. So it's not gonna be like a lot of workload to these companies that want to be part and participate in this. So we would be like very clear, like the criteria that we are looking for them to comply, and then we will leave the cycle going on. So they will apply, they will submit their documentation. We will, from the Department of Social Affairs and other ministries that want to support, like, we would evaluate these applications, return with feedback if it's necessary, and a plan of improvement for the companies, or grant the certification. This would be evaluated, and of course, at the end of the pilot, once the cycle is done, we would run some focus groups to gather like all the feedback through around the content, the materials that are aiming to support them through the whole process, and also like the technical aspects that we can improve. So that's the purpose, like, to refine the website, refine the materials, and refine the evaluation process for them to get the certification. At this point, that would be the purpose of this pilot. In the future, it would be amazing if we can run some research to get like overall outcomes on effectiveness that these policies are having in the families, in the children, in the productivity of the companies, so we can have evidence from Aruba, so we can start to set that baseline. So that would be a purpose for following years, but next year it would be focusing on acceptability and technical aspects. Jenny, am I missing something?
You got it. So we would run a full implementation, very small scale, with just a few organizations in Aruba, ensuring that we have different types of organizations that are representative of the overall economy in Aruba. And we would go through the whole process of having them apply and running the evaluation, looking at their application against the certification criteria, and then we would stop and talk to them, ensure that we hold focus groups to understand what was the experience, that is it feasible to do this in Aruba as it stands, what changes do we need to make, and is it acceptable? Is this something that companies are continuing to want, that's acceptable to the overall environment in Aruba? We would then make refinements and look at sustaining or scaling the project at that stage, or the certification at that stage. And I would just also like to highlight the amazing opportunity that there is to produce evidence of effectiveness for this project in Aruba, that Aruba is a real lighthouse, and is leading the way with a lot of different countries interested in how it goes. So I think that, as Anna said, conducting at a later stage an outcome evaluation where we are looking at the cost effectiveness, the productivity, the outcomes on child and family well-being, that there's a real opportunity for Aruba to take advantage of there as well, but that's at a much later stage.
If I may, I would like to start answering the third question of Ms. Trompe-Lee about how do we go about companies. Some companies have their policies and procedures in place, and it's clear. The flexibility is written down, and employees would know what they have, and other policies don't. So how do we aim to achieve that every company has that in place? I would want to start by answering that we are not aiming to achieve that everyone has the same starting point, but we are aiming to achieve that this certification trajectory would encourage people to engage in this change process, and where you aim as a company to be family friendly. And how we would like to do that, and we know in change processes that you have the same as in COVID. There is an explanation why we would have to put a mask on, and a large group will do it right away. You will keep a certain percentage that will do it when it's mandatory. We are not aiming to reach that group. We are aiming for the low-hanging fruits. Those companies who say, hey, I can do this, I want to do this, and make use of the resources that the experts will help us put available on this digital platform in terms of forms, procedures, manuals, support for leaders. And we are aiming for those companies, and those were also the messages from the advisory committee. We have consultants that we are sure, or they are sure, that there will be companies, even large companies, that will want to have this certification on the internet, on their website. And as once one company has this certification, others would want to have it too. So we are aiming for this change process in which one would want to compete with the other, and on the long run, having a pool of companies that are certified and motivating others to get on board.
Maar zodat je bij contesta dan, Senora Weaver.
Yes. Just a short last question. Are there any fiscal incentives with the certification going to be part of this project to possibly incentivize more companies to participate in this idea?
Thank you for the question. It's a very important question, and I know for a fact that our partners abroad would like to answer this question, because we have talked quite a lot about incentives. And a physical incentive, we were debating what, if it's something, what should it be? Or should it be a certification in a digital something they could put on the internet? So we are still debating on what would be the best way to go about it. And we have not even shared about it. There's an entire process on branding, and this digital platform is being designed, is already designed as we speak. But the more important incentives are, in reality, larger incentives that we have not discussed as yet. And those are, for example, if there were from the side of the government, for example, incentives in terms of tax. And Anna, I know that is a reoccurring subject on the incentives, so maybe you want to share your thoughts on having this incentive besides some physical or digital. That is the idea, if you have this certification that it's visible. Anna? Or Jenny? I'm not sure they're hearing me.
Yeah, I think there's some delay.
I don't think, could you please repeat the question?
We've talked many times about incentives that would encourage companies to hop on board on this certification trajectory in terms of incentives, for example, in terms of tax or subsidy. For example, if you are talking about child care support, in which way also from the government could offer some incentives for companies who would like to apply for the certification.
Anna, do you want to take this? Okay. Sure, I'm sorry. There's a little bit of feedback, so I don't know if I'm hearing very clearly. But we've discussed incentives at length, and the short answer to the question is that at this stage, at this first stage of implementation, it's not affordable to ask companies to provide childcare subsidies, for example. We're instead proposing that companies provide support with childcare accommodations by, for example, identifying resources that are close to a workplace that a parent could apply to in order to get childcare assistance. But at this pilot stage, we're not looking at including tax incentives or government subsidies in order to try and keep the cost of the program manageable at this rollout stage, but it is something that we're looking at asking about when we pilot the program. So it's something that we've gone back and forth on this a lot. And we're bearing in mind the importance of being able to sustain this at scale in Aruba and ensure that the product that's being developed is flexible, agile, inclusive. This is one of the priorities that came up again and again, the need for inclusivity. So we're trying to keep the cost of the certification low in order to ensure that it is inclusive. We'll be asking and reassessing this as a matter of priority at the pilot stage. So at the stage after the first round of implementation, this is going to be a large focus in the discussions that we bring back to the companies. I hope that answered the question.
Ik wil toch toevoegen dat wij gisteren dit ook bij de ministers hebben gebracht. Dat we zullen waarderen dat er nagedacht kan worden over mogelijke incentives. Want zoals de ARA ons heeft gezegd, een van de vragen die er zullen zijn is, en wat zit er voor mij in? Dus dat wij toch we hebben tijd, maar het is goed om over na te denken van, willen wij dit stimuleren, dat bedrijven ook aan meedoen? Van, weet je, welke kleine incentive kunnen we dan teruggeven? Dat was de feedback die we hebben ontvangen.
Dank je, voorzitter. Meeting reserva tocante incentive, para mita pensa gente mes tabai pone pressão aí. Para se me meste escolhe com trabalho que tá bom, que tá cooperar comigo, me tabai go toward that richting in vez de bijna caminho com minot por e com nota family oriented. Dus me quer sa se nós como you say inform e trabajador nang meeste bij pone pressão riba nang werkgever ku nós também quer bom trato, senão nós tem que fazer escolher algo outro. Dus meting mi reserva, pero ja, tem futuro no mi wa kiko bem dilante, pero sei ta mi opinião tocante je.
Bom, vamos toch doen een opinião chiquito de besaki. Me te quiere e me se vira algo que me se llega na sindicato nan também. Na momento de vai negociar, seja ou pedir para ting e tipo de costan aqui na companhia nan kunan ting como membro. Senhor Gulo, tá ouvindo pergunta?
Oké, ik heb geen vraag. Alleen heb ik ik wil jullie bedanken voor jullie presentatie. En ik denk dit project is al jaren in de maak. En met jullie als professionals en UNICEF als steun kunnen we heel veel bereiken voor Aruba. Eén ding dat mijn collega Utami net heeft benoemd, dat als het komt vanzelfsprekend. Als deze bedrijven gaan merken, ze krijgen een etiketje, dan wordt het vanzelfsprekend. Iedereen wil bij het bedrijf gaan werken, wat flexibel is, waarbij ook je gehoord wordt. Wat jullie al duidelijk hebben, je moet die mensen gaan informeren. De HR department, ze moeten weten om te gaan met hun werknemers. Flexible worktime, al die wat al benoemd is, dan merk je al op de werkvloer dat deze mensen beter gaan functioneren, minder ziekteverzuim. Is het proven. Dus die family oriented, het is proven. Het is evidence-based wat we hier aan het praten zijn. En met de steun van UNICEF en collega's zullen we zeker veel gaan bereiken voor Aruba. Eén ding, de vaderschap heb ik altijd benoemd. Er moet meer tijd voor de vader, of tijd, ik bedoel nu voor de 2 dagen van 5 dagen. Laten we met die kleine stapjes al gaan beginnen. Kleine stapjes. Want we weten allemaal, de vader is heel belangrijk in de opvoeding van het kind. Dat weten we allemaal. Maar altijd, met Anne, dat heb ik zeker gediscussieerd, van UNICEF, de vader wordt overal benoemd, maar er wordt niks mee, tenminste ik denk, er moet meer gedaan worden. Meer tijd aan de vader besteed worden, dat hij ook bij de familie hoort, zoals wij altijd dat ook willen. Ik ben een maand geleden bij Plan di Major geweest, bij de universiteit. Ze praten weer over de vader, maar de vader krijgt niks. Dus er was een discussie tussen mij en de panel discussions van ja, jullie benoemen de vader weer, maar de vader heeft 2 dagen. En dat is ook weer dat jullie in jullie plan dat ook gaan meenemen. De vader misschien die 5 dagen krijgt in de toekomst, meer dagen, maar dat er ook meer tijd besteed wordt aan de vader. Mashadanki.
Bedankt voor jouw commentaar. Meneer Gulu, ik zie aan de andere kant, heeft iemand toch een commentaar hierover? Of mevrouw Bermudez?
Nou, ik bedank meneer Gulu. Ik ben bewust dat wij willen van het liefst 10 dagen of meer. Want de moeders hebben 12 weken. Maar we zijn ook bewust dat vaders er ook niet klaar voor zijn. De vraag is, gaan vaders thuis blijven en echt de moeder helpen? Echt gedurende de dag de moeder ondersteunen, wakker blijven, een flesje geven? Dat is de vraag. En zijn we klaar voor? Zijn we bewust van gedeelde ouderschap? Gaan we dat oppakken en gaan we dat ook doen? We zijn ook bij bedrijven geweest waar wij workshops zijn gaan geven. En het was een bedrijf waar veel mannen waren. Toen we daar kwamen, hebben we gezien dat de zaal was leeg. Terwijl de directie heeft aangegeven, jullie krijgen alle ruimte om naar de workshops te gaan. Hebben we gevraagd, waarom denken jullie dat de vaders of de ouders niet komen? En de reactie was, ze kiezen voor overtime, ze kiezen liever. Dus al de mogelijkheden die het bedrijf heeft gegeven, heeft niet echt gewerkt. En we zijn bewust, het is niet alleen cultuur in het bedrijf, maar ook cultuur op Aruba. En inderdaad moeten we gaan werken om bewustwording. We doen ons best. We werken hard om dat over te dragen. We zijn blij als hotels en bedrijven opengaan, dat we op de werkvloer komen. Want we hebben gezien dat vaders, toen ze hoorden van wat het effect was, en dat de HR's die ook aanwezig waren, konden zien, deze vader heeft niet alleen een gedrag dat heeft te maken van, het werk is niet belangrijk. Nee, het had te maken met de 5 kinderen dat hij thuis had. En af en toe voor een week bij zich heeft en hij zat tot hier met het werk van de kinderen. Dus het is belangrijk dat zowel de HR's als de werkgever, maar ook vaders merken dat ze de steun krijgen. Vaders die niet zoveel steun geven, de verantwoordelijkheid gaan opnemen. En zo kunnen we samen, hopelijk, met de overheid en het parlement, organisaties, iedereen voor de kinderen opkomen. Ja.
Yeah. Thank you. Very important subject. How to increase the parental leave, but also how to indeed engage the fathers in the connecting with their child. And I think about the chat that I have had with the Child Helpline of Aruba some time ago. They have a Best Dad program, and I've heard it's very effective. So I think it would be nice to look at them and what they do and see how to link with them and perhaps, combine it, because, they have been working for several years on the Best Dad program. So we don't have to go so far for that one.
Seguro? Señor Gulu.
Nee. Ik wil een voorbeeld geven hoe ik bepaalde dingen heb veranderd als ex-directeur. Ik ben directeur geweest van het Witkele Kruis. Toen ik daar kwam, hadden ze curso of futuro voor moedercursus. Ze noemen dat moedercursus. Ik heb gezegd, als je die naam gaat veranderen, curso of futuro mayorne. Dan betrek je de vader ook bij die cursus dat de vader zwanger is. Dus alleen die naam te hebben veranderd, heb ik de vaders bijgekregen bij de cursus. Dus zo simpel is dat. Change, een kleine verandering in de naam. Ik zeg aan mijn collega, waarom noem je dat moedercursus? Waar blijft die vader? Ik zeg, nee, maar dat is al jaren zo. Moedercursus. Nee, noem het gewoon curso van futuro mayorne. Dus de vader werd bij betrokken. Dus het heet nu nog steeds futuro mayorne. Dus al bij de zwangere moeder, de vader moet bij betrokken worden. Dus dat is een klein voorbeeldje hoe je dingen kan veranderen in een bewoording van de cursus.
Señor Bermúdez.
Ja, we hebben gestruggeld met de naam parent-friendly of family-friendly. En waarom? We hebben nu, dit is een begin, we hebben het niet beperkt tot parent-friendly, want we denken, als we naar de vergrijzing kijken en willen dat onze ouderen ook voor gezorgd wordt, komen er straks ook aanvragen van dochters en zonen die even naar huis moeten gaan, want de moeder is gevallen. Of die moet naar het ziekenhuis of naar de dokter. En vandaar, we zijn daar nog niet gekomen. Daarom hebben wij de naam breed family-friendly genoemd. En hopelijk kunnen we in de toekomst met family-friendly plus, family-friendly plus plus, met, dat is de bedoeling. Yes. Thank you.
Mita gusta family friendly. Sobre esta bise doni trabalho também, que você está com família também. Dus tá prazer seguro para nós tem Bosna, mita wan toch nos a oportunidade de discutir sobre outro tema que tá toch aportar na totalidade de local que nós que logra com o programa aqui. Dus de aqui banda, masha danki nos a the ones that we have also online, thank you for your input. For us, it was a very great meeting. So we got the chance to talk about this program itself, the family-friendly workplace program, but also we touch base some, let me call it, local laws that we can change to give better support on the total program. So in the name of my colleagues, I want to thank you, the ones in the room and also the one online, to share with us, and you can be assured that we will make more, let me say, a job out of it to make sure that we can finish this program and implement it. Thank you to everyone. Have a nice afternoon.